So we're out here during EDC. I believe it starts tomorrow. What do you think? Because I'm 38 and I feel a little old for the whole festival scene. I was curious about the fact that you're still subjecting yourself to this after all these years.
Yeah, it's really not my style, man. I'm not really too much into the clubs and that sort of stuff anymore either. It's actually, I don't know, my buddy wanted to do it. I was kind of bored. My girl was like super stoked on it, and I haven't really like been out in a while, so figured I could take some G and fucking do one night of EDC.
You still like the G, huh?
I do, man. That was like all I got fucked up on in high school, and then I kind of like stopped doing it for a while. I was doing Quaaludes for a bit, ran out of those. I've always been trying to like steer away from alcohol because it fucks me up. Like I can't sleep, I can't fuck. Like if I drink a bunch, I can't fuck. It's like, what am I doing it for? I'm going out to get pussy, and then it's like I get the pussy. It's like cocaine. It's like even worse. Like can't eat, sleep, or fuck with that. It's like, I don't know, man. I never understood it. But I guess, yeah, like I said, for me, I was always trying to like find an alternative to drinking because it just didn't affect me very good.
You ever try the lean?
I've done Percocets. I think that's
It's not so far off.
similar. And then, yeah, the promethazine, I think, is just for anti-nausea, right?
Yeah, but I mean, you ever mix it with soda and just like walk around the house with a double cup?
No, but I could see I would do it. I just, yeah, I haven't really.
I went through like a 2-month period back in the day in the Valley where I was hanging out with these crusty ass porn stars, and I would go over and they would have the G. And I had a few different sexual encounters where I would be like, barely fucking existing, just all sloppy and falling all over the place. And
But you can still fuck.
yeah, and it was fun. But it was weird because I would be trying to explain it to people, and I'd be like, so it's basically the date rape drug. And they'd be like, why would you do that? I'm like, I don't know. These girls gave it to me, and they said it would be fun, and then it was fun.
Yep. Yeah, man. It was always for me kind of, it was similar to drinking. I was just happier and I could fuck, great on it. It felt good. So
How long you been in this relationship that you're talking about right now?
So, I met this girl, I think in December. We hooked up, and then I went to Thailand. I took a few girls. She was one of the girls, and then initially I was just, I was fucking each girl every day. So it was like I had to have sex 3 times. I was like, I was free diving. I want to work out. I want to do Muay Thai and all this shit. And it was just like a lot, I just like didn't want to have the obligation. Then if I didn't fuck one of them, then she was upset. It was this whole fucking like weird dynamic where I think I brought like the wrong number of girls. Like 2 sucks because anytime you're fucking one, the other one's sitting on her ass, like, jealous. And then, 1 is fine if she's like a cool enough chick that you can tolerate being around her a lot. And then the larger group is, it's probably better up to a certain point because, as you fucking read in the book, like you take it too far.
But you said 3 and then 8 were the ideal numbers, right?
Yeah. Well, and in between there is okay. It's just like, that like 2 is a bad number.
2 is inherent competition. It's like a fucking UFC match to win your dick.
Yeah.
But then you get to 8 and all of a sudden it's like a crowd.
Yeah, 8. So there's pros and cons of like every number as you get higher, right? Like 8 is nice because like when you're, pluck one off from the herd and bang her, like nobody notices, so there's, and then there's also like, such a scarcity of dick that these chicks are like just stoked to get banged, when they do, and they don't expect it every day because they know there's so many. So there is pros to that, but then you're also just like running around with a fucking like entourage of girls all the time, which, look like, I had a pretty bad sex addiction. So for me, it was like, it's like, I guess if you got a really bad coke addiction and you got to fucking hang out with a bunch of fucking coke whores, like you'll do it. You know what I mean? Or drug dealers or whatever, the equivalent would be like, if you have a sex addiction, you have to be around a bunch of fucking girls, right? So like I just got used to it, and because that was so important to me, I didn't even like really look at it as being that big of a fucking deal. But when I started like just focusing on doing more shit, like, there's a point in the book when I, the yacht, when I was there and I had 27 fucking girls and I like couldn't keep up with it. Always thought more was better. And I got to this point where it just wasn't. And I realized like, okay, like I've gone to the end of the fucking road with this, and this isn't really like what's going to make me happy. So I need to kind of like shift focus and do something else. And it was, hanging out with my boys, like surfing more, off-road, and doing just shit that I like to do. And so back to Thailand, I was like, I don't know, man. I just, I sent a couple of the girls home, and I was, just like happy, you know, hanging out with her and just focusing more on like the free diving and all the shit that I wanted to do, you know?
But do you think it was more because she was something special, or was it the fact that you had just found yourself at the point in your life where you needed a change? Because I wonder that about me and my girl sometimes. It's like, how much of it was her versus the fact that I had just found myself ready to stop my lifestyle that I was in?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think a lot of times it's multifaceted. Sometimes it's more one than the other, but it's definitely like it has to be right place, right time. Because I've definitely had points in my life when I've like been banging and hanging out with like really fucking cool chicks that I would have in another time and place dated, but I just wasn't in that headspace, you know? And like, you know, for instance, that girl, Victoria in the book, she was, you know, a fucking awesome chick. And like, had the time have been right, like I would have dated her for sure, no questions asked. But I was like just blowing up. I had made a fucking shitload of money, and I like had the opportunity to be a rock star. And like, you know, when I was a kid, I want to be a fucking rock star, right? So I got this opportunity, and it's like, the last thing I want to do is now just like get into another relationship, and I had gotten out of one. So I think a lot of it is just timing, you know? And I go in like, I go in cycles too. Like I'll be, you know, single and fucking going crazy for a while, and then I'll just be like, okay, like I don't want to fucking do this anymore. And like, there's been girls that I've like dated that weren't even like that amazing. I was just so tired of this shit that like, you know, I mean, they were cool. I liked having sex with them, but they weren't really the focal point. It was more just like hanging with my buddies, and they were there because, you know, I mean, I could have sex with them. They didn't cause any problems and whatever. So, yeah, I think, like I said, I think it's really, for me anyways, it's a lot dependent on like where I'm at, like in my head, you know, like, do I want to focus on girls? Because if I'm single and I want to do it right, I'm dating a lot of fucking girls, and that just takes a lot of your time. Like if you're not paying them, like I actually like, and I've said this before, I envy guys that pay girls because they just don't deal with any of this fucking headache. Right. Like they get what we want, right? Like they get sex and they don't care that it's like paid for.
I could never do that. It always felt like the thing I was after was like the approval of the girl. Like she likes me enough that she wants me to put my dick in her.
100%. I'm with you, man. You know? I couldn't agree more. But like I said, that's why I'm envious, is because of, you know, our desire to have that, we have to put up with all this fucking extra bullshit that we wouldn't otherwise have to do if it was just about the sex.
How loud is the demon in the back of your head that's telling you to get some new pussy though? After all these years, is he still just back there screaming?
Oh, he's always back there. You know, it's just honestly like a big thing too is situational. Like when I'm around a bunch of hot pussy, I obviously like think about it more, right? Like, but I'm in fucking Thailand, I'm hanging with my boys and we're doing fucking Muay Thai and there's no fucking hot pussy around. Like, I don't really think I miss it as much. But if I'm hanging out at my house and I got fucking 8 big titty girls fucking bobbing around at the pool and fucking drinking and shit and fucking running around topless, then it's like, okay, now we're thinking about pussy again. You just, it's kind of like, it's like being an alcoholic and living in a bar. You know, it's like, it's going to be a lot harder there than if, you know, you're out in the fucking mountains. I think, yeah, temptation has a lot to do with it.
I'm like that with weed, where like anytime I try to stop smoking blunts, I just go back into my office and all the fucking editors and the filmers, everybody's just hanging out smoking, and it's just, I'm right back in it. Hey, hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, subscribe. We just hit 200K. We're trying to get to 300K.
Turn us up.
Appreciate y'all.
Let's go.